That continues Tottenham's miserable start to the season, but actually the poor form can be traced much further back. Have a look at this. On the left is Spurs' record since the start of Pochettino's second season. That goes up until the Burnley match on February the 23rd this year. On the right is Tottenham's form since, and you can see that incredible drop-off in the win ratio. Points less than half per game, goals down, they're conceding more, having fewer shots and facing almost 3 shots more per game. Jamie, how do you explain that dramatic shift in numbers?
Well, how I explain it is I think this cycle's over of this Tottenham team, and I love this Tottenham team and I love this Tottenham manager. But last season, getting to the Champions League final, in some ways, papered over the cracks slightly. They lost 20 games last season. So that was my worry for them. Are they going to get back to what we've seen the last few years, the start of this season, or is this team sort of realised it's not quite good enough to win the league, to win the Champions League? And it feels to me like it's physical, mental, what Patrice has mentioned, maybe in the dressing room also, but there's a lack of intensity, and I just think it becomes from the fact that they've been together so long and they're just not quite good enough, and it looks to me like this is the end of it really, or they're not going there. They're never going to win the league or the Champions League now. They're just about qualifying for the top 4. And that was the remit 3 or 4 years ago. This graphic here, how many shots they faced in that first Arsenal game at Wembley? When, as I said, that was the Tottenham that I've loved these last few years. 6 shots, 26 against Arsenal a few weeks ago. And it hasn't changed. They conceded 7 against Bayern. Well, they've conceded 10 in the 2 games before the Watford game. So it hasn't massively changed. And there's a lack of intensity, mentality, just a drop-off that just makes me feel they're not quite going to get where I hoped they would get. I really did. I still feel there's some really good players in that squad, some great players for Tottenham. And I think they've got still one of the top managers, not just in the Premier League, but in Europe. But for me now, him being there for 6 years, the same players, they've reached a level now where I don't think they're going to go any higher.
Why are we using a different language to discuss Spurs than we have used on this programme back down the years, talking about Leicester City from title winners to mid-table, from Chelsea, the same, from title winners to mid-table, talking about players downing tools? Why are we not talking about this with Spurs?
No, I don't think it's a case of downing tools. This team has been one of the most consistent teams in the Premier League for 4 or 5 years. I'll tell you what it reminds me of, and that's why I'm not going to be too critical of the manager or the players, is I was managed by Gerard Houllier for 6 years. Rafa Benitez for 6 years. They're the 2 biggest influences on my career. They did great jobs for Liverpool, won trophies. The thing for us was to try and win the league. The thing for Tottenham is to win anything. But for us, it was each year getting closer to the league, closer, closer. We then got to second and we completely fell away. And it almost needed to be started again. And with Tottenham, it feels like it needs to be started again, either with a new manager, not because he's not good enough, of course he's good enough, but maybe just a different voice, or the other way, where you actually say, we need to change this squad, and this squad should have been changed a lot longer than before now. The manager's been crying out for that. So I think you've got to point fingers at the chairman, the people at the top of the club, that this team has just been the same. Good players, but sometimes it needs freshening up, and now it feels like it's just gone on too long.
What do you think the solution might be, Patrice?
I completely agree with Jamie. I think they reach their limit. You know, I always see at Tottenham an exciting team to watch, but not as a winner. You know, when people think like every year Tottenham get a chance to win the title, I don't think they got the player to win the title. Like he say, they play for the top 4. So compared to last year, they went to the final of Champions League. So they must be like really disappointed to not win it. And mentally, you get affected of that. And that's why, like he say, Pochettino is a great manager, but maybe sometimes you need a big change, or maybe you need like extra player, quality player, and maybe Pochettino asked them and he didn't get them.
Should they consider selling their prize assets? I mean, Roy Keane was mentioning it on Super Sunday yesterday that maybe Manchester United could somehow prize Harry Kane from there. Should they think about selling Harry Kane, selling Dele Alli to try and raise some funds to improve the rest of the squad?
Exactly, they have to rebuild the team. Like he say, it's 6 years they're playing together, and the problem is like, when it's a long period you're playing together and you don't win something, mentally, it's really difficult to recover after that.
I just think they've got to that thing where every year they're getting better, closer, nearly won the league, record points total, Champions League final, and you come so close and it's just, and you're just not quite. They need the Van Dijk or the Alisson moment that Liverpool have had. That's just made... Before Liverpool signed those two players, Tottenham finished above Liverpool, I think 7 out of 10 years or 7 out of 9 years. They just never ever got that superstar to take them to the next level, to actually win something. And as I said, it now looks like they're going the other way, and that's the massive problem for them.
So only 5 points off the top four, and they've got Liverpool at Anfield next weekend. Looking forward to that.